Hello and welcome to the decision-making introduction of CESIM's telecom operator simulation. First thing that we need to do is to go and log in at CESIM.com. We click login and then you will enter your email and password that have been given to you. Here I have connect1@demo.com, password test. Then we click login. We get to the participant interface. So here at the home page, you just see some basic information about your team members and your instructor. And the actual decision making starts here in the decision section. Besides the decision section, you find results and schedule in the system. And the schedule always tells you when is the deadline for the next round. On the teams page, you find the teams and the team members in each team. And under the reading section, you can find the decision-making instructions and case description. On the forums page, you can post messages if you like. There's a team forum where the messages are visible to the team members and your instructor. And on the course forum, the messages are visible to the whole course and all the participants. Now let's get started with the decision-making process. So here on the decisions we go from left to right, and the first page that we see is the market outlook. So this you need to read before you start making decisions for each round. This gives you an idea about what is happening in the operating environment. The first actual decision-making page is the consumers, and here you start making decisions. So here the white cells are those inputs that are then compared against the other teams at the time of the deadline. So if you have, for example, 5 teams in the market, then all the teams are starting from exactly the same position, and whatever decisions you do will influence your competitors as well as yourself. So you are not going to be playing against the computer, but against the other teams that are operating in this market. Under the consumer section, the first page that you see is the mobile service, and there we make pricing decisions for different packages. So we have the calling packages, small and large, different pricing for those. We have the SMS packages, likewise small and large, and then we can decide what kind of excess surcharge we apply if the usage goes above the monthly limit. And then there's the prepaid pricing, and then we also estimate the prepaid usage per customer per month. And then we decide what kind of commission we pay for those prepaid customers to those resellers. We also do an estimation about the average prepaid customer relationship duration. Mobile broadband pricing is done here as well. You set the pricing separately for the 3G service and 4G service. And then you decide what kind of markup you want to make from those devices if you want to make a markup from those. So you can sell devices besides the services as well. And then you decide the total marketing budget for your mobile service. And then you make an estimation about the churn rate. And then on this right hand side of the page, you can see, or let's say that you estimate what is the number of customers using these different services during the round. On the right hand side, you can always see what is the number for the previous round. So here the actual figures for last round are visible for the number of customers. And here you can see the last round information for all the pricing and other details. So here our task is then to try to estimate our service sales as well as we can. These blue cells here do not have any actual impact to the real results, but they will influence your pro forma statements when you go through the decision-making process. And once we have done these estimations, then we can also see what kind of profitability we can expect from this mobile service from our consumer customers. The next section here is the broadband, fixed broadband, where we have 2 kinds of offerings. We sell the broadband service through our own network, and there we decide the setup fee. and then we can also sell the broadband service, fixed broadband, through another network for which we then decide a separate setup fee. We can also see the setup cost right here for both kinds of networks. And then we do the pricing decisions for low connection speed and high connection speed. For the other network, through the other network, we are only able to offer low connection speed broadband service. And then we decide the amount of marketing that we want to do for this fixed broadband service, and then we decide what kind of fees we are charging for those value-added services that are included in the fixed broadband package. And then again we estimate here the churn rates, and then we estimate the number of new customers, and then we make an estimation about what is the number of customers that are coming through the other networks. Then we go on to the entertainment section, and here we offer like an entertainment package where we have the basic package including fixed broadband. We set a monthly fee for that. Then we decide what kind of number of additional TV channels we make available for those customers who use our package. And then we also decide what kind of margin we want to make from those channels when we sell them to our customers. And then we decide the amount of advertising. And throughout the system, you need to keep in mind that these different decisions, they influence your demand. So it's not only the price, but it's also the service level, and also the advertising and personnel and networks that influence your demand. So it's not only the price, but all the different variables together influence your demand. And besides the basic pricing and advertising decisions, we also decide the number of video on demand movie titles that we make available through our library, and then we decide what kind of incentive we give to our shops who are then selling this entertainment service. So by offering higher commission here, we can push the entertainment package sales through the shops. And then we have one decision here related to the advertising revenues. So we are able to sell advertising through our entertainment portal, and then depending on how we set this price per click, we then attract the advertisers' attention, which is also dependent on the number of users that we have in our entertainment portal. Again, on the right-hand side here, we can see then the profitability figures. In these blue cells, we make the estimations about the numbers of customers, channel subscriptions, VOD sales, and also the number of ad clicks. And it's a good idea to use the previous round figures when you start in the beginning to make these estimations. And eventually you can see what kind of profitability you can expect from this entertainment service. Now we move on to the channel management section, and here we have 5 different channels. We have the shops, and then we decide the number of shops that we want to have. Then we have our representatives, and for the representatives we decide the commission, and then we decide the amount of marketing support that we want to give them to incentivize them. Then we have the outbound sales machines, and for them we again decide the commission, and then we give them another commission for the win-back sales. And then we have our own contact center, which is used primarily to take care of the inbound customers, but depending on the staffing, we can also use that for win-back sales. And then the last channel that we have here is the online sales channel, which then evens out the percentages. So at the moment our estimation is that we get evenly 20% through each of the different channels. But here we can see the previous round figures. We got 35% from the shops, 15% from the representatives, and then 36% came from the outbound. and 7% from online. So these percentages will be changing when you make decisions and decide different incentives for the different channels. The cost of the channels is presented here, and there you can see how much costs are involved in each of the different channels. Now we move on to the corporate customers, and here we sell solutions to our business customers, and we first of all we decide what kind of package or what kind of solution we want to offer. There's like we can decide what we call here re-engineering, which includes now no cost reduction targets, and in the other end significant cost reduction. So if we want to offer significant cost reductions to the customers, then we choose this intensive dimension for the solution. If we don't want to do that, then we choose the minimal, and the resource usage is dependent on what we offer. So the more complex the solution, the more we need our own consultants for the integration work. The other dimension that we have here is the customer-specific tailoring, and again, if we want to offer custom solutions, we are going to be needing more resources. And the other dimension here is the customer-specific tailoring. And again, here, if we want to offer customized solutions, we're going to need more consultants. If we don't want to offer customized, we offer standard, and then we need less consultants. And here we can see the consultant count. So the total number of consultants that we have currently is 385, and based on the solution offering that we have done and based on the customer estimation, we now have still 115 consultants available to be assigned to different projects. So we can either try to acquire more customers, or if we want, we can make more complex solution offering, and then we see that basically we are already on the negative territory with our consultants. So with the current amount of customers, if this actualizes the way that we plan, then we are not able to integrate all these customers because we don't have enough consultants. And the consultant numbers can be increased, but they always come with 1 period delay. And here you decide then if you want to increase the salary for the consultants and if you want to invest in their development. By investing in their development, you increase their efficiency, but also present yourselves as a more attractive employer. And same with the salary. So if you want to be heavily focusing on the corporate sales with complex offerings, then you probably need to consider investing into these factors in order to make more consultants available for your projects. The pricing decision for these solutions is done as a return on investment. So when we integrate the client to our systems, then we make an initial investment with the startup costs, and then we decide what kind of return we want to make on this initial investment. So basically, higher return means higher price that the customer pays, and lower return for us obviously means that the customer pays a lower price. But you decide which is the level of return that you want to take. And then, as mentioned earlier, here we do the customer forecast, and then we also estimate the churn rate. Now, one factor that has high impact on the churn rates is the support, and here we decide the number of support personnel. The support personnel becomes available immediately, and now if we don't have enough support, it means that the waiting times will increase drastically. Like here we see that we are cutting down the support staff, and based on the number of customers that we have, the system is, based on the estimated number of customers, the system is now expecting that the wait time is going to be 220 minutes, which is totally incomprehensible. So we change this to 300, and then the waiting time goes to 7 minutes. And the corporate customers, they are very sensitive to these waiting times. So if you want to offer good service, then you also need to pay attention to the support staff. The last thing that we decide on this page is the system maintenance and development investment, which means our investments in our own system. So we can have our sort of basic upkeep versus technological leadership here. And they have different costs, and they also have different influence on our brand image, and to some extent also on our operating costs. Major customers is an additional piece on the corporate customer side, which is not going to be available in the beginning. But during the later rounds, if you want, you are able to make offers to specific customers. And the offer should be based on your estimations about the value of the consultant and the value of the support personnel, and then the resource needs. So when this becomes available in the system, then the customer specifications always state what is the number of consultants that are needed in the startup and what is the number of support personnel needed for the ongoing project. And then it shows you the costs, and then you can decide what is the required return, and at the end you will see the net present value of this project after you have decided the price. And the customers are available to multiple vendors. So it's not only one vendor who will get the deal, but the customers will choose based on the pricing and the service level, and then may split the service contract among multiple vendors. But as I said, this is not available for the first round, but it's going to be available later in the rounds. Networks is the next section, and here we have 5 regions: south, east, west, central, and north. And we have 3 network components here: 3G network, consumer network, and corporate network. We can always see the amount of potential customers in the region for each of these network types, and then we can see the competitor coverage, and we can see our own coverage, and then we decide what we want to be the coverage in the future. And these network investments always come into effect with 1 period delay. So now if we want to increase this to 90%, it means that our coverage in South region with 4G network will be 90% next round. And this is the amount of money that we need to invest in order to make that happen. Same way, we then go through all the different regions. Some regions have lower coverage, some regions have higher coverage, but the principle of making the decision is exactly the same for all the different regions. Then we have an events page, and again this is not going to be available for the first round, but later you will see that there are different events that are described here, and then you need to choose an action that you want to take. So in this case we have some Gogoro scooters, and then we need to decide if we accept the offer or not. But these are always one-time events. So the last page of decisions here is the finance page, and here we manage the liquidity of the business as well as the capital structure. The minimum thing that you should do here is to make sure that you don't have any short-term debt at the end of the round. So here you can see this table where it says that the beginning balance tells us that we have 42 million in short-term debt, and the short-term debt is sort of like an emergency loan that carries higher premium, and then we want to get rid of the short-term debt. And now we can see that the system, based on the cash flows that we have, is automatically paying off the short-term debt. So if we have the liquidity, then the system will automatically pay off the short-term debt, and then our ending balance is 0. So this is the minimum that you want to check, that you don't have any short-term debt in your budget at the end of the round. The other aspect that you can manage on this page is the capital structure, and that now includes dividend payments, share repurchases, and share offering. So if you make profits, then the shareholders obviously expect you to pay dividends. That decision you make here. And then you can also, if you start accumulating a lot of retained earnings, then you can also do repurchases. And then if it happens that you need additional funding, then you can also issue shares to the market. Finally, we come to the decision checklist, and on the decision checklist you can see all the different team members' decisions side by side. So in this demo game we have Ricardo, Stacy and Sheila, and all these members in the team can make their decisions individually. So whether you have a three-member team or five-member team, everybody can make their own decisions. And then before the deadline, you need to communicate and decide which decisions you want to submit as a team. So if we say that, for example, now we are happy with Ricardo's decisions, we click copy, and now the system is moving all the decisions from Ricardo's area to the team area, and then whatever decisions we have here in the team area, those are going to be used to calculate the results for the round. We can also step into the other team members' areas, or we can decide to step into the team area and make all the decisions directly here on the team area. That decision is in your hands, whichever way you want to make the decisions, as long as you have all the decisions in the team column at the time of the deadline. If you would like to copy somebody else's decisions to your own area, you can also click import. So now I'm operating in the system as Ricardo. Now if I feel that I want to use Stacy's decisions, then I just click import here and I move her decisions to my column, and then I can continue refining those decisions. Then at the bottom bar we find these projections. We have the balance sheet, cash flow statement and income statement, and that always shows the previous round actual figures and then the pro forma figures for this round. So this is a good row here to check before you finish your decision making, because then this shows what kind of profitability you expect to make for this round. Then we have the cost report that shows costs, and again here, like looking at the differences between the previous round and this round can reveal some valuable information. And finally, there are a few ratios that are also available for you to see. The results become available here in the results section, and then you will always be able to see different teams side by side. So you have all the financial reports, income statement, balance sheet and cash flow broken down to different kind of items. Then you have the ratios, and the winning criteria typically is the cumulative shareholder return. So this figure takes into account your cumulative performance, taken into account the share price development and also the dividend payment over all the rounds that you are playing. Then we have some information related to the equity and debt. We have the consumer section where you can see first of all graphs, then you can see some detailed information about the pricing and sales of the different competitors. So the idea here is that you will be able to analyze and benchmark your competitors throughout these different pages. Now this concludes the decision-making overview of this Connect simulation. Thank you for watching, and we hope you will have a good learning experience with this simulation. Thank you very much.